If you're running the Málaga Half or full marathon this year, this video is for you. I'm going to be covering how to get to Málaga, where to stay, what to eat, what to do, and of course the race itself, everything you'll need to know to be prepared for race day. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Sadie. I'm a travel agent helping runners travel to Europe for races. I can help people looking to finalize details with a consultation call, create an itinerary just for you, or do end-to-end trip planning, booking, and logistics. Let's start with traveling to Málaga. If you are traveling into Málaga from anywhere that isn't Spain, you're probably going to want to fly in. And let's be honest, even if you're traveling in from within Spain, the train system here means you also still might want to fly in. If you're flying into Málaga, I have great news. It's super easy to get from the airport to the central train station. All you have to do is just follow all the signs for the public transit, buy a ticket, and then make sure you get on the right platform. It's a little bit confusing because of how their subway system is set up, but don't be afraid to ask for help. Once you make it to Málaga, you're going to need to pick your place to stay. Now, there are two options for where you want to stay. If you want to go for a more water relaxation vacation, you should stay along the water, kind of past the starting line. But if you want to have more of the historical side of things, you should absolutely go to find somewhere that is in that central downtown area or in the surrounding neighborhoods of Málaga. Now, neither of these options are super close to the starting line because, to be honest, there aren't a lot of hotels in that area. But you can still find something that's going to be about 15-20 minutes walk. Just consider it your race day warm-up. When I was in Málaga for the half marathon, I stayed in a Coello capsule hotel, which for me is the perfect mix of hotel and hostel. So how it works is essentially you are going to be sharing your bathrooms, your showers, toilets, etc. with about 8 other people, but you have your own separate pod. Your pod here will be a queen-size bed. You have a little bit of floor space, you have a desk, and it's all private, closed off for you. I found this to actually be very soundproof as well, so it was great for sleeping. And what makes them really able to fit all of these together is that the beds are they're bunk beds, essentially. So your bed's here, and the person here, there's a person above you, but they have a wall. So your opening is here where they have a wall. So you have this privacy and isolation despite being in a bunk bed, hostel-ish situation. And it's perfect for getting that sleep on race day. If you're looking for more traditional hotel recommendations, I do have linked in the description of this video a guide for Málaga that is completely free to you. All you have to do is go to the Málaga Half Marathon Hub. So let's talk food. Across the board, you're in Spain, so you're gonna be having tapas, you're gonna probably want some wine post-race, and you're really gonna be looking for those churros and hot chocolate. So I have linked some places in that same guide I just mentioned. Another great food option in Málaga is the Mercado de Central de Atarazanas. And this is a great option just for get that local cuisine. They have a lot of fresh fish options here. Now there's a ton of food stalls here, so I would recommend looking out for the ones that have the Spanish speakers. There's gonna be a bunch. You don't wanna go to one that has no line and nobody waiting, because let's be real, there's a reason it has no line. So listen and look for some Spanish speakers and you should be finding an amazing meal in the Mercado. I also have a trick I use for finding a restaurant in any city I visit, and that is going to Google Maps. First, filtering all of the results by 4.5 stars or more, because we want quality, and then going through all of the options they give you and crossing out anything that has under 200 reviews or over 1,000 reviews. So if you're under 200 reviews, that restaurant is still going to be very heavily weighted down by friends and family giving positive open reviews. And those first few customers who come in, they probably want to give a review, but they don't want to be too harsh because it's a new restaurant, it's new. So those under 200 reviews, doesn't mean anything. That 4.5 means nothing. And if you get over 1,000 reviews, you start entering tourist territory. And tourist territory is what I call that kind of vacation high of everything is perfect, everything is amazing. I loved my restaurant. They don't actually know what good food in Spain is though, because they're tourists. And so there's nothing wrong with the fact that they all really like this restaurant that has an amazing view, but it actually might not be the best food. So, there are times where sometimes I will sacrifice the food and I'll say, I know this place is gonna have bad food, but gosh, that view. But for the most part, I try to keep all of my restaurants between 200 and 1,000 reviews, and I will always have a good meal. This has never steered me wrong. Now let's talk about what you can see and do in Málaga. I will say that there's so much to see and do. But that's kind of both a good thing and a threat, especially if you have a half marathon or marathon coming up. Malaga is mostly a very flat city, and it's very easy to just start walking and keep walking, and oh my gosh, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, and oh, whoops, I was supposed to be resting my legs and I did 30,000 steps. Now, this isn't helped by the fact that the Marathon Expo is way out at the end of a jetty, so you're already walking about 5 to 10,000 steps just to get all the way out there. Okay, 5 to 10,000 might be an exaggeration, but you're walking pretty far to get out to the jetty and then back. So you're gonna wanna be really careful with the rest of your sightseeing to make sure that you are really saving your legs and helping them prepare. I'd recommend booking a pass for yourself to go to both the Alcazaba and the castle. The castle is at the top of a hill though, so make sure you take the public transportation up, because again, we want to save our legs. The Alcazaba is a really cool historical building. And if you buy both tickets at once, you can actually save a little bit of money. Or if you're really smart, you'll do what the people in front of me in line did. And that is that they just asked everyone around them if they wanted to be a group. It was like 3 different groups of like 3 to 4 people. And then they got that group entry discount. So if you're willing to chat to strangers, you might be able to get a little more money saved. So I do have more recommendations for what to do while you're in Malaga. It's in the same guide with the restaurants and hotels. All of it linked in the description. My last suggestion for what to do though is going to be visiting the Malaga Museum. Now, this is a cool museum, I'm not gonna lie, but that's not why I think you should visit this museum. The entry, if you are non-European, is only a couple of euros, and if you are European, it is free. And once you have that ticket, you also have access for the entire day to a bathroom. You can just keep coming and going and using their bathroom. And especially when you're hydrating, Malaga is kind of a tricky city. There aren't a ton of bathrooms. There is one along the main pier, and that's really the only public bathroom I found. So having access to that museum is such a benefit. Before I get into the course, I want to talk about the bag drop and the start time. First, the start time is 8 a.m. on a Sunday. So that means a lot of things in Malaga are going to be closed. I made the assumption that I found restaurants. I found like 4 different restaurants on Google Maps, and I was like, this is it. I have 4 potential options for breakfast tomorrow. I will be fine. Guess what? All of them are actually closed. It wasn't a good time pre-race. But if you don't want to do that, and you don't want to do that, make sure you get yourself some breakfast ahead of time that you can just eat in the hotel morning of. Now, the other thing you need to know about this race is that the bag drop, for me, I found it a little bit confusing. So it was outside the bull arena, and when you approach, you're walking along the side and you reach what looks like the bag drop, but then you look around and there's only like bibs 100 to 400 are being dropped here. And I was standing over there with bib 8,000, Actually, it wasn't 8,000, but it was a lot higher than 400. And I was just looking and I was like, what am I doing? There's no other bag drops. But you really have to keep going and keep going and keep going around the arena. I don't know why they've separated out the first 400 from the rest of them to that level, but they're pretty far apart, but they are all around the arena. So just don't panic if you are like, I can't see my number. And if you think it's something about elites, that's what my thought was too, but the people I saw picking up the bags were just regular runners as well, so I'm not really sure why those numbers didn't go with the rest of them. Like all of the best courses in Europe, this course is a circle. So you're going to start next to the Malaga Town Hall, and then you're going to head down Paseo del Parque. You're pretty quickly going to be diverted out of Old Town into a more suburban area. You're going to have one of the few hills in this entire race. It's a tunnel that you have to go down and then back up out of. And then you will start making your way back to the water. When you make your way back to the water, here's the deal. It's going to be very sunny, and that sun is going to be basically in your eyes. Because of the 8 a.m. start time and the fact that this race is in December, that sun is still rising while you are running. So you're going to have that sun, even if you have a hat on, it's going to be right in your eyes because it hasn't gone high enough yet. And then once it does get high enough, you're going to be dealing with the fact that there is not a lot of shade on this course. That can be a problem, especially as, despite being December, it can be quite warm in Malaga. Make sure you have hydrated a lot and wear some sunscreen and sun protection. But despite the fact that there's no shade, this section of the course is gorgeous along the water. It was absolutely lovely. You just got these palm trees and the crystal water, and everything was just calm. Like there's no problems in the world when you're running next to the water, And then you do turn out and you run along the jetty out. And this section can be a little bit windier because there's no protection on either side. And also, I saw these take out a few people. This section is filled with small speed bumps. And if you're not paying attention and you're not lifting your legs, you can trip on them. I saw about 2 or 3 runners just down. And we don't want that to happen. We want you to have a successful race. So just make sure that when you get onto this section, you're really focusing on picking up your feet. At the start and end of the jetty, you're also going to have some really heavy crowd because this is essentially the starting line of the course again. You know, I said the course is a loop. It's almost more of like a figure eight. You know, it kind of squeezes together right in the middle. And so you're going to have everybody who is cheering at the start and waiting for someone at the finish. They're going to come out to this middle area and there's going to be a lot of crowds. But beyond that, the course doesn't have a ton of people cheering. It's pretty much just you and your thoughts and, you know, the occasional sign. But it's still not bad for that region of Europe. And then the last 4 miles of the race are almost an out and back. You're not going along the exact same street, but you're going about, you know, out along this street, up one block, in on the other street. So it's essentially an out and back, but not exactly. And this section also does have the second big hill of the race. It starts around mile 9. And I personally felt like this hill did not have a corresponding downhill. Now, I know we started and finished at the same elevation, so I know it did. I know I'm just making it up in my head, but it really felt for me like we were going uphill for so long, and then the downhill was like 2 seconds, nothing. Which it kind of was because the downhill was a lot steeper. And then you've done it, basically. You're gonna come up and you're gonna see those signs separating out half marathon, full marathon. And I saw those signs and I figured, oh, I've probably got like a quarter of a mile left. No, it was like 20 feet. I was through there and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do my final like push. This is happening right now. We're at the finish line. So if you're running the marathon, I don't know as much about the second half. The first half, of course, is the exact same course as the half marathon. They even start together. But the second half, what I do know is that you're going to be passing more of the historical sections of Malaga, whereas the half marathon course really keeps you just out along the water. So let's talk fueling. I thought the fueling stations were very evenly spaced out, and they also gave runners oranges and bananas along with the water. My only kind of complaint here, which isn't really a complaint because it was a hot race, is that they were giving full-size water bottles. So you're going to be able to run with that for longer, but also if you just want a sip of water, you're going to feel a little wasteful, but there's nothing you can do about it. Now let's chat about bathrooms. I can't tell you much about what the bathrooms were like on the course because I luckily didn't have to use any of them, but I will say that because of my breakfast fiasco turned into me thinking I knew a hack to find a clean bathroom that failed, I was one of the last people using the porta potties before the start of the race, and there was still toilet paper. So if that carried on to the course, those are probably some really nice bathrooms. I've talked about the weather a bit in this video, but in December, the weather in Malaga is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. But that being said, it's not really like go swimming in the ocean weather. The Mediterranean is very cold, which kind of made it perfect for that post-race, my legs are tired, let me go dunk them in the water moment that I had, and it was lovely. But it wasn't good for like just a normal swim. If you have any more questions about this race, check out my Half Marathon Hub that's linked in the description. This is also where I have a free guide that is filled with food, hotels, and activities. You can also reach out via my website to chat about personalized travel planning services. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you.